What's up, my YouTube people? Today, I want to talk about something very special, something close to my heart, which is the power of brand storytelling and doing work that you absolutely love and doing it for a premium. A lot of the times when you chase work that you absolutely are filled with can lead to a life of doing less work for way more money. It literally can set you on a path where you go traveling, you're working with some of the biggest authorities in your space. It does attract the top 20 sort of percent of an industry. It does give you more money, as I said. This journey for me over 15 years of just selling one particular type of video has led to story partnerships, has led to me being involved in productions that have been hundreds of thousands of dollars and beyond $1 million. This is in my opinion, the best business model to attack, to be creatively fulfilled and to scale a business and to get paid in the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you just two examples of work that I've actually done in the past where you can actually see these particular pieces was stuff that I thoroughly enjoyed. Simon's piece that I'm going to show you is Simon is a serial impact entrepreneur. He's a person that is actually changing the world in many, many respects. He's got an international sort of charity and he's got multiple businesses. He's a thought leader. He is just a leader in his space and very well respected and connected, like really connected. And this is the other thing. When you start telling people stories like Simon and like Mark, you start to enter into a network of people that are like-minded and that see the value and the power of story and what story can actually do for you. So this is where this video, I think, should have a fairly big impact on you. Before I sort of get into the different types of products, the different types of brand stories, the different ways to position and things that I want to share with you in this particular training, I just want to show you some of the work that I've done, which I'm going to share with you now. This one, I directed this one. I basically took a lot of his older footage and then I sort of created a narrative from him. Initially, he came to me, he's like, Michael, I just need a show reel. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do that, but let's add some kind of story, because I was a massive believer in storytelling. Storytelling for me is everything. When you sort of bring desire and conflict and they meet together, it creates a question. And for some of you that are following me or know me personally know that I have a lot of different types of story formulas for brand stories. But this one was really quite special because of the impact that he has. And that's why I want to be involved with these type of people, because they are really changing the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit for you. I'm probably not going to get all the way through it, but to give you an idea of the type of work that I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing this work. Hold on, I'll just press play.
Energy poverty quite simply condemns billions. Toxic smoke in houses kill more women and children than AIDS and malaria combined. Which is why I've devoted my life to try and raise awareness about what energy poverty is.
Joining us for more on this program is Simon Doble, who's the CEO and founder of Solar Buddy. Simon, thanks for being here.
I had the absolute pleasure of standing on stage with this man. I was completely blown away by what he does.
The founder and CEO of Solar Buddy.
Simon Doble.
Simon Noble.
Please give a warm welcome for Simon Doble.
School students are making a simple but potentially life-changing difference. They're building solar-powered labs.
We're in the top 10 UN index countries in the world. Papua New Guinea is in the bottom 10 in the world. There's only 3.6 kilometers between us. Everyone here has the amazing opportunity to assemble and donate their very own Solar Buddy light to a child living in energy poverty. And I've ridiculously tried to mimic what it was like to live in a refugee camp by living in this tent for 3 months. I started Solar Buddy on my dining room table with a personal loan of $40,000. First 6 months of this year, we fundraised over $2 million. 1.4 billion people that are affected by energy poverty globally around the world. Our aim is to eliminate the lives of 6 million children.
Turn on your light.
Let's light up this room.
And so, as you can see, like, this is, this type of work for me was incredibly fulfilling. But what is powerful about this particular thing is that when I did this story, this led from this particular brand story. This led to another conversation where we were talking about, a budget of north of 500,000, where we were going to go in and do a series of different stories so that he could bring more awareness to the charity that he's trying to run, plus the multiple businesses that he also runs as well. The next one I want to show you is Mark. This guy is a property tycoon. He's north of 100 million. He is very successful, becoming very close. And the other thing as well I want to say is that when you do these types of stories, these type of brand stories, I don't care if you're a massive video agency or you're a videographer that's just a freelancer, you become incredibly close. Like these two people, like most of the brand stories that I've done in my entire life, I am very close to these people and they will know me till the day I die because I had a part in sort of illuminating their story, bringing life to their vision, and they could see that I could see what they could see, meaning I could read inside what they really wanted to say. And a lot of them were blown away by this. And this is what led to more opportunity and to be able to move them into what I call a story partnership. Now, Mark's thing was that he was a very good marketer, but when you have a lot of success, people can't really see themselves in that story because he's almost like a superhuman. So initially what I decided to do with him, and when I said, like, we need to sort of humanize you a little bit more, so show people the backstory of what you actually went through to own the helicopter, to own the Lambo, to own the Rolls Royce, to own these sort of big toys and these big things. We needed to humanize him. And this was, again, another fulfilling, amazing project. I sold this project for around 50,000. I'll let you listen to it now.
The point at which I recognised it was important was the day that I almost went bankrupt. That's when the sword went straight through my heart. I realised this is critical, and to get out of this mess, I think that's when it all started to gel. The rubber had to meet the road. It had to change, and I had to get good at it. There was so many arguments and so much friction in the family home when I was a kid. It all related to money. But money was that point of friction in the home, and it was up to me to change it. That really set in motion a bit of wildfire for me. I began to understand the word how. There was too many people saying no. Over the years, I think in my own mind, I've just relegated the fact that you've got to keep asking how. I had worked out pretty quickly that these financial planner guys had gazillions of clients paying too much tax. And they were using property to offset their tax pressure. Things took off really quickly. I built a business around the idea of, I'll supply you exactly what you need. Tell me what you want, where you want to be, price point, type of real estate, and I'll deliver that to you, McDonald's style, every single time. And that just went crazy. And I was making 40 grand here, 65,000, 28,000 bucks off that, 70 grand off this, and the 85. And mate, it was just getting shoveled into my account. Developers would actually approach me before they even bought the site. Hey, got a master plan community, 600 lots. Last quarter, you sold 85 for us through your channels. How many agreements?
Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, okay? For you wanting to look more at what we do or what I've done in the past is go to michaelhanson.tv. My work's there. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this particular piece was sold at 50,000, and then it led straight after this to a $100,000 brand story, straight after I delivered this to him. So this is how you scale up pretty quickly, because when you start delivering these sort of these types of sort of brand assets, and like for those of you that are watching and sort of thinking, well, you could have two types of people watching this video. One could be like, it's not that great, man. I will say this to you: we built this for a certain point in his client acquisition infrastructure, so it worked for him in terms of conversion. For those of you that are saying, well, maybe I can't do that type of work, I can kind of beg to differ on that situation. You can, you just may need some assistance in certain areas. And a lot of the time, if you are actually selling brand story, as long as it is a form of storytelling, it can be still sold as a brand story. And so let's continue. This is going to be sort of the only training that helps you archive true creative fulfillment through the art of brand storytelling. While everyone else is talking about selling cookie cutter social media, retainer strategies and revenue growth, I'm offering something completely unique and transformative, okay? Talking heads on IG or Alex Hormozi style stuff is fantastic once you have built up enough of the brand for that client. But for me, it is not the first thing that I would ever go in and sell. Okay, because to me, it is replaceable. It's very easy to do. It's getting very, very cheap to be able to create them types of videos, them sort of social media disposable stuff. I'm trying to sell them assets that are going to help them grow their sales organization. So I want to change the trajectory of your entire video business with a single storytelling focused video. Your ability to deeply connect with clients consistently creative impact content with burning out and keeping your passions alive, depending on one essential element. And that element is creative freedom. In this video, I'll guide you through one type of video that transformed my approach from being burnt out and hating to pick up the camera to burning with passion every day. Now, I was overwhelmed. I wasn't really selling my services in a way that was really exciting me. I was getting a lot of stuff to where it was like talking heads, but these talking heads was not really saying anything exciting. Everything was looking too corporate. There was nothing had an edge to it, and nothing was making me feel creatively fulfilled. So from unfulfilled creative to thriving brand story creative, my journey in visual storytelling began around 15 years ago when my son was diagnosed with autism. I remember the moment vividly. This was a sense of when I sort of got into storytelling, was when I started to deeply look into psychology. I was already in marketing. I was working for Yellow Pages and brand per se. I was doing like full page ads, and prior to that I was doing signage. So I had somewhat of an idea. I was doing a lot of sort of passive and active, really sort of marketing heavy focused stuff, though it wasn't really branding. Throughout the journey, my passion for film, because I picked up a camera. The story is that my son was autistic, and I used to film him, and then I used to string words together so I could teach him how to talk. And then I started to post a few things, and people were like, whoa, you're pretty good at this. And then I started to do a little bit more, and then I ended up having a friend that needed a little something done, and then I sort of interviewed him, put some B-roll together, and that was amazing. And then I did my very first sort of brand story with a guy called Taki Moore, who's quite a big coach. That was one of the first brand stories I ever did, and that really took off. And he used that for about 5 to 7 years, and that's when I realized, okay, I got something here. So basically, what the story goes like. Throughout the journey and my passion for film, I found myself in the early days consistently seeing my vision and my voice being overlooked and disregarded, treated as more like a human tripod. So I was getting like calls all the time, like, hey, can you come and shoot this? Can you come and shoot this? Can you do this? Can you do that? This is when I very sort of created Video Labs. This was my first company. Video Labs was like, okay, can you come and do this? Can you film me here? Can you do this? And how much would it be? Like 500, 1,000. It would just never be anything substantial. And I was like, how the hell am I going to scale this? It left me feeling kicked out of the creative process and divorced from the entire reason I got into filmmaking in the first place, to tell stories. The whole reason I got into it was to tell stories, to be able to have an impact. That's the reason what was driving me. I wanted to have more meaning. I wanted to have more freedom. I wanted to be able to look at somebody and be able to give them the ideas. That's what I wanted. But I was getting forced into this sort of horrible human tripod vibe where I was just feeling stuck. I felt like I was getting paid okay, but even that wasn't really scaling and giving me the life I really wanted. and it was just kind of covering costs, but it was still leaving something above. But I was looking at the paycheck, and I'm like, and I'd just come out of Yellow Pages where I was getting paid 6 figures a year. Like, it was very hard for me to, and I had to figure a way out, like, how can I get more money in for doing less work? The reason less work is because I need to get more into the month so I can get more income in and scale this thing up. That was until I discovered the concept of brand stories. These highly powerful cinematic brand assets flipped the script for me and gave me the best of both worlds. It gave me creative freedom, and it gave me a ton of money. It drove client results and gave me creative control, and got clients to listen as they could clearly understand how these films would drive an outcome, because they were used for sales assets. They were used for conversion mechanisms. They were used for building trust. They were used for creating emotional connection. These are the reasons why people bought these things from me. It wasn't because I was just doing like an Instagram video or some kind of short form content. It wasn't just a safety video, because everything I touched had to have as an element of storytelling with a cinematic feeling for it. I wanted to create these mini movies for brands. Okay, so if this is for you and you've got this far, congratulations. But if this is really, really for you, you want to stick around, because this training is obviously long and I want you to get something out of it. You don't. This is for you if you don't have an issue with your client's delivery. So you can tell a story at some capacity, then this is definitely for you. You have the thirst for storytelling, but have the inability to get clients to buy in on your ideas. So if you can't get control, or you don't know how to get control from your clients, then it's definitely for you. Your current model is draining your creativity and love for filmmaking. This is a big one. If you're starting to feel like nothing's working, you're feeling tired, you're feeling like you don't want to get out of bed, and you're feeling like, I've got a ton of money and this is working, but it's becoming just like a business, and it's not fulfilling you, it's not making you feel enriched, it's not letting you express yourself as an artist, then this is for you. You're starting to feel the impact of 18-year-olds undercutting the day rates, which is making you realize how big of a commodity you've actually become. What I mean by that is that camera equipment is really coming down in price. And what we're finding now is a lot of young guys emerging in the market because they can take a pretty shot. Now, as AI comes in, these shots are going to be like almost instantaneous. We're going to be able to press buttons and get really cool shots. So if we don't lean into storytelling and get out of that commodity trap, then what's going to happen is it's going to be very, very difficult for us to charge even anything, because we're all going to be running around sort of selling things very, very cheap. So we have to have a unique positioning. We have to have a unique creative methodology, so to speak. So if that's how you're feeling, this is definitely for you. You see others doing the work that sparks your passion in the industry, but somehow after countless late nights, month after month, quarter after quarter, you're stuck in the same position doing mundane work to cover your bills and make it as a creative, but the type of work you're proud of or got into the industry to create. So what I'm saying here is basically like, if you're just seeing yourself month after month, like I spoke to someone the other day and I'm like, how long has this been going on for? He said 3 years. I mean, 3 years, that's a long time. But it can go very quick, and that's the thing. You can look back on it and go, where was all that time gone? But you're in the same position, and this is for you. You can't turn those fulfilling one-off projects into long-term retainers, and this is key. When you sell a brand story, it's very easy to move them into story partnerships, retainers, partners, and even if you can, you haven't figured out how to get them into the position where they will take your creative input seriously. You want to be respected. You want to be an authority. You want to be a creative genius. You want to be able to walk into a brand of a Fortune 500 company and they will listen to what you have to say. Then this is for you. So how it felt being stuck as a human tripod for me, this is exactly how I felt. If you're in the same position, I was this was happening during the early years of me building my video agency. You might be related to these feelings. It was unable to control the creative. This was the biggest thing. Once I got this sorted out, this led to large budgets. You've achieved significant milestone of making it as a full-time video creative. So if you're at around 10K per month, and that would be your sort of survival money covered, you can pay your bills on that. You can run a car from that. You can run your life on 10K. but you feel like you're stuck or capped there. Yet the work you're doing has you rethinking why you got into this in the first place, as all you're doing is a carbon copy, sort of Hormozi style. You're doing this sort of, when I say Hormozi is a genius. So like this is not a big pick on Hormozi thing, but a lot of people copy the guy, right? He's a leader in sort of short form content. He's one of the best in what he does. And, you know, I do put similar types of videos out, like where we do them short forms, and they cost me $30 a video. And so I'm not paying $3,000 a video. So it's very hard for me to ever go and sit down with someone and say, I'll create you a kick-ass reel short form thing when I can get them for $30 a video. Feeling undervalued, you sense that your clients aren't recognizing your true value, leaving you feeling underfilled with the work you do. You're feeling overworked, overwhelmed. The low budget has you questioning how you'll ever sort of achieve budgets and projects that let you actually flex your creative muscle, meaning you're not going to be able to get the cameras, you're not going to be able to get the support, you're not going to be able to get the team, you can't build a team, you're stuck in that sort of frustration. And then frustration with peers, you see other creative people working on their dream projects. This happened to me all the time when I was looking at other people, and I'm like, God damn you, why are you getting that work? Like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And I used to even get like people that was really not even as good as me. Like, and that was just, obviously I'm biased, I think I'm great, but like we should all feel that way. But I used to look at them and go, well, how the fuck are you getting this? And I'm not. Creative fulfillment and business. Okay, so despite your success, you feel like a prisoner to your business and long for a sense of creative freedom. Okay, so let's get into it. What is a brand story? Brand stories are basically, in my opinion, short impact short brand messages packed in a cinematic experience with story. Okay, it's narrative framework, a structured narrative that conveys a brand's core values, missions, and unique selling points. But we do it with some cinematic goodness. Emotional connection, a story that invokes emotions. They're willing to invoke emotions, creating a deep connection with the audience. Consistency, a consistent message across all marketing and communication channels, ensuring brand coherence. I can't say this word. A lot of time when I did a brand story, most of the brands that I did a brand story, they ended up having to change the whole website because the story was that powerful that it warranted them to change the whole thing. Engagement, ensure that the audience has been relatable and authentic, encouraging them to invest in the brands. This is a big thing. It differentiations. This is the number one thing that you should be selling a brand story for. If you've got two apples, and like let's do two pens. One pen is $1, the other pen is $1. If one pen has been written by Steven Spielberg, it comes wrapped with a differentiation to that other pen. This pen is now more valuable because it's packed with a story. And this is the thing that you need to be explaining to when it becomes, because a lot of you watching this would be feeling like you're a commodity. Well, you need to tell better stories about yourself. But a lot of your clients will be feeling that commodity trap too. And they'll be feeling like that there's a lot of competition, and the normal default for brands is to just go to a price war, and all that is a race to the bottom. But instead, telling better stories differentiates them, puts meaning, wraps purpose, and wraps sort of impact, meaning they may have like a contribution or a fight story or a side story that's going to like sort of invoke a certain demographic of people that will pull them in, and you are the mastermind or the master storyteller behind that, and that's how you can differentiate your clients. Customer-centric, focus on the customer journey, showing how the brand can positively impact lives. Evergreen is a really big thing. Brand stories are really good because they can be used for several years. Why is brand story fulfilling as a creative? You work less, you make more. It's a simple fact. You will make more money selling brand stories than you will ever sell doing short-form disposable media. Hands down. Now, if you create disposable media with a brand story over a 12-month period, like Hormozi does actually talk about hiring a creative director. I mean, he spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on his actual creative direction of his short-form people. This is the thing with a lot of videographers and stuff, is that we have to look at everything as story and brand. Creative fulfillment, crafting stories that let you explore your creativity and bring you joy to your life. It creates impact, and this is a big reason why I did it, was because it would have more weight, more thud factor. It would get into the hearts of people. People would feel connected to it, and that is all very, very relevant. So why do clients love it? It's because it brings emotional connection to their prospects, which is really important. It creates authenticity, it creates engagement, and it also is driven by purpose. Most brand stories that I created was done from why fight contribution, and I will create a video soon around helping you guys with my formulas to brand stories and how I put them together, because I think that would help. Why do brand stories attract premium? And we're talking not just premium, we're talking about thought leaders, actual sort of, I had talked to one guy yesterday, I'm not going to tell you the president, but there was a president in Europe that got elected, and this videographer was working very closely with him, and he had a very strong argument that he was one of the reasons why he got elected. The power of brand story, the power of visual storytelling, the power of a videographer and video business is that you can literally help people get elected to presidency. You can change so much. You can create movements. You can create, explosive growth around products and services. As I said, it differentiates. This is one of the biggest things. It raises the perceived value, so you can make things look very expensive. As I said, 2 pence worth a dollar. One is written by Steven Spielberg, or has Michael Jackson Thriller was written by that. Like, that is already raised the perceived value of that particular pen. Trust and loyalty. Brand stories build trust and foster loyalty amongst customers. This trust encourages repeat business and referrals, allowing brands to command higher prices. Now, trust is a major factor for conversion. It really does, and it's one of the biggest problems I had with brand stories back in the days. You couldn't track it, but all we knew is when we made one, business started to grow, and it's because trust and loyalty. If someone's looking at a product or service, you think about it, and they've created a whole narrative around why they're existing, what they're fighting for, and what the contribution is, and then you have this other product and service that's saying absolutely nothing. Right? And you're a little bit of a skeptical person, you're going to go with the person that, has demonstrated that storytelling or humanized that process, because you feel a little bit more connected. And that's what happens when you do this for brands. Okay. Quality perception, a compelling brand story often implies that the brand offers a high quality product or service, meaning that everything is quality, everything is good. And then long-term relationships. So clients understand that brand stories help long-term relationships with customers. They sustain engagement that can lead to increased lifetime customer value, justifying a premium price point. So you're raising all the prices up, okay? You're building trust. You're creating an emotional connection. This is why they love it, and you're differentiating them. 7 types of brand stories, and this is really key, okay? So there's different types of brand stories, and there's different placements of them. There's the origin story, which is the normal story of like the why story. It's the big place of where it is, how a brand business or idea came to life. People are interested in why things became. How does the Lamborghini made? How was the Ferrari made? How was that particular watch crafted, and where did the idea come from? People actually want to feel the rich history of what they're buying in terms of product and services. It's actually a very powerful thing to put together. You can put this on the About Me page, on the front page, on the home page, and they can use it in their sales assets, obviously. I've got some real examples, and for those of you that are a part of Clout, I will send this document over to you. Impact stories is the next one of my favorites. Very hard to do, because you got to find a customer that is willing to sort of do it. So I have my video up there. So impact stories are obviously something that is really, really powerful to sell. I love impact stories because they show the ultimate proof that, because you've created a cinematic story about a client that's going through a journey, that's using the brand's products and services, but telling a story, and this is the formula, telling the story of them on their own journey, and the sort of fairy godmother of that journey is the product or service. That's kind of the formula that I use with impact stories, and they're hard to find because the client's got to be willing, or the customer's got to be willing to take part in that, but they're very powerful. Where to use it? You can use it in case studies, obviously. It's a very, very sort of powerful sales asset for proof, particularly with the sales department. Value stories, where a brand emulates a certain value. This can be very good for sort of HR videos. Very good for attracting top talent when you start putting out sort of when a business is looking for talent acquisition, a value story is what can really help. Particularly if you did a value story around the staff's values of being in the brand, so to speak. Education story, this helps. Obviously, this is a long-term thing. These are really good for YouTube. These are really good for internal videos. But again, they're all driven from a story, and it's teaching something. These are really good for like mining videos or in the sort of building industry where safety is an absolute key. You can wrap story because it helps absorb into the back of the brain a lot more. It hits the subconscious when you tell a story and then create that as an education piece. These are also really, really good, like as animation videos for software companies like that have complex solutions. You can simplify a product or a service that is really complex through animation and then embedding like an educational story inside there. Contribution stories, these are very powerful. This is all about creating movements. This is about creating community. This is about bringing people together. This is about, charity work. This is the type of stories these type of brand stories create is like, the entrepreneur that actually wants to give back, or the philanthropist that wants to change the world, or, you think of sort of Elon Musk a little bit with, his contribution and what he's doing with where he's at. And don't know if you love him a lot or don't like him. Andrew Tate, for instance, he's got a charity. So if I was in his camp, I would be saying, let's do a contribution story. Let's tell a narrative around what kind of impact we're having and actually tell that story. Because we want to raise more money, but we also want to be able to help more people. So these are really, really powerful stories. The fight story is also one of my other favorite ones. This again creates more movement. This is a real message. This divides competition. This differentiates people because typically the brand will talk about what breaks their heart and what they're trying to do. And this is really a strong purpose-driven brand story that is needed for differentiation. So they'll pretty much go up against all competitors and say, look, this is the one thing that we're sick and tired of seeing in the industry, and this is the one thing we're trying to change, and we're fighting for this, and this is the bigger reason why this brand is here. This is a really, really signature. In fact, my main brand story that I always tell is why fight and contribution. Believe it or not, I bring all three of these elements together. These are really good for sort of using them for ads, particularly ads. Very, very good for the sales guys, exactly, again. And we've got examples. So again, if you're a part of Clout, I will be able to get this document over to you. Why story is my absolute all-time favorite. I won an award on this. It's like people opening up, being authentic. These are really good for entrepreneurs, particularly serial impact entrepreneurs that have many, many businesses. They need to tell a story of why. This humanizes the process. This actually gives people more of an emotional connection. It's allowing the viewer to see themselves in the story. I always say like that. People listen to music and people watch movies because they see themselves inside the story. If you see yourself inside that story, that's the reason why we connect. That's the truest form of connection, in my belief. Other than listening to understand, and understanding is a real true form of connection, but to see yourself in someone's story, to see that. And if a brand or an entrepreneur or a personal story can humanize themselves by saying why they do what they do, and generally the why comes from, as a child growing up, this XYZ happened to me and led me on a path to building this brand. That's pretty much how it starts. From my point of view, or my formula. Brand story, as I said, is a complete and utter game changer. These particular stories here, and I would like to spend more time, but take note of these, because you can productize, change the name of them as well. Like origin story is sort of like the higher level sort of homepage video story. And go through each one of these. These are phenomenal for ads. These are not phenomenal for social media. These are phenomenal for YouTube. These are phenomenal for actual sales assets to give to when a customer is literally about to purchase something. The brand would flick this brand story over, as a conversion mechanism. They're hard to do. They're very hard to do because you've got to find a customer that's willing to open up about their life, because it's not a testimonial and it's not a case study. It's an impact story. Impact stories are a totally different layer. These are like the story of the customer's journey. And then a little bit like the Dove. I don't know if you've seen the Dove. If you're watching this, I don't know if you've seen the Dove video where the forensic does that's an impact story. That's them, a customer, explaining about their self insecurities, and then just Dove has just put a beautiful image because they've created a story that is about self-worth and self-love. They're hard to find because what you're doing is you're finding the story of the actual client and then telling a personal narrative, and then you're making the brand, the actual brand, the fairy godmother along there by just assisting with the product and service. You're not making the product and service the centerpiece. It's very much the side part, the fairy godmother. Cinderella is the client going through this. So I love. And I really, really am passionate about impact stories and brand stories. I love them. So what I would say to you to do from watching this, just to take away, is just take down some of these pieces and maybe take one or two and start to look at productizing these things, and then start wrapping some sort of, pricing structure around them so that you can actually sell them in a way that's going to give you more fulfillment, like more meaning and more impact with the client. So yeah, I absolutely love all these types of brand stories. I hope you got a lot out of today. Brand storytelling is a game changer for the creative professionals. It allows you to connect with your audience on a deeper level. Like I said, some of my friends, my lifelong friends, are all my clients, because when you tell a story like that, they'll never forget you. Like, it doesn't matter what your level of creativity is. Obviously, this video is really for more skilled people that can tell a narrative. But even if you can structure a talking head in a way that is pulling the audience in and having people lean in to want to know what happened next, you've successfully told a brand story. And then if you give that to the client and you position that in the right specific place of that client acquisition infrastructure, you've cracked it. It differentiates yourself from the competitors. This will remove you from the commodity trap of being a human tripod and just selling services, like editing services like I did. Like, literally, like, hey, Michael, are you available? I need to shoot for this. Like, no. The way I fixed that was I just immediately put my day rate to $10,000 a day. And I learned that from my mentor. My mentor was, he would charge $25,000 a day, and with no camera, no crew. Because of his skill, he'd been in the game for 40 years, and had done some of the biggest TVCs in Australia, but I learned that, and what that did is it stops all that sort of. And I'm not saying to not take that work on, but to remove yourself from that commodity, I would highly look at that. It differentiates yourself from the competitors because there's a lot of them coming into the market now. We're getting a massive bull rush of like cameras coming down in price. As I said, AI is coming in. A lot of youngsters wanting to call themselves film directors and achieve higher levels of satisfaction and success. So creative fulfillment and money is all around these kind of brand stories. I feel like this is the untapped secret, in my opinion, because I just don't think it's really taken off. And it's because people don't know that it even exists or that it is a thing. By embracing the principles of brand storytelling, you can transform your video business, create impactful narratives, and enjoy more fulfilling career. Take the lessons from this training, apply them, and watch your business thrive. I'm telling you, take one or two of these products, create a product around it, create an offer around it, put some good lead generation systems around it, target it towards a beautiful, like a really good industry, and watch the top 25% come throwing themselves at you. So unlock the power of storytelling and elevate your brand. We've got a 6-month program. If you're interested in working more with a 500K brand storyteller, this is a comprehensive program. It's designed to provide you with a solid business model. And this is the thing, we build the model around this. We're going to give you strategic insights, accountability being the big thing, and expert guidance to craft a compelling brand stories that resonate with your audience and drive growth. Now, we're going to help you design your brand story offer, and then we're going to help you launch your sort of own sort of client acquisition infrastructure inside your video business, and then we'll show you how to sell and pitch that, and then help you build out the sales processes within our sort of program. So why would you choose our brand story creator program? It's a proven business model. You're going to get strategic insights. We work with and speak to hundreds of filmmakers daily. You're going to get a strong sense of accountability, which I think when I was in business, for me, it was just like no one would hold me accountable except my client. The minute that project stopped, it was up to me whether I had to get out of bed and get things done, and what was I capable of. And then the other thing is, I was on the University of YouTube, where I'd just be getting lost about everything. Like, literally would get lost for everything. I wouldn't know what to work on, and there was all these different answers coming at me, and I just couldn't keep up with it. Expert guidance, so you'll get the accountability, you get expert guidance, gain access to industry leaders and mentors who will provide you with the direction and feedback necessary. You do get your own one-to-one coach. Transform your brand and create lasting connections with your audience. Enroll in the Brand Story Creator Program today and start your journey towards effective brand storytelling and business success. We've created this for really sort of the filmmakers that are sitting around sort of, I would say, 6,000 to 7,000 every month, and you're wanting to get up to 50,000. This is really the program for you. If it is something you're interested in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for a start. But the other thing that you can do is reach out to me on either my email, michael@michaelhanson.tv. There should be a link underneath this video if my team's put it there. Just go through there and you can actually just fill out a form. And that should lead you to one of my producers should ring you. If not, just email me, michael@michaelhanson.tv, or just leave a comment underneath here and I'll get in touch with you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a long one, 41 minutes. I've been putting it off. I think you would have got some value out of this. My last note to you is like, just do work that you absolutely love. Typically, when you are passionate and you love something and you want to create meaning and you want to express yourself as an artist, you can get paid in the process of doing that. You know, I believe that is that more artists, we need to save the truth. The reason I do this, or why I do this, is because we need to look after our artists, because our artists right now are among the world and what's going on right now. Good artists and people that can express themselves or package messages like these kind of brand stories, it's not a want, it's a need. The world needs it. The world needs you to show up, and the only way you're going to be able to sustain your lifestyle is to get paid in the process. And so if that is you and you want to work closely with me, reach out. But if you're not in a position to reach out to me right now, then take some of these principles and start applying them. Take some of these brand stories and just watch how things start to unfold and things start to change. I'm Michael Hanson. Thank you so much for listening.